with this confrontation in the middle of all of this, with a lot of talk about what must happen, and if ultimately this vetting must go on, the NPP are clear in their mind that no vetting should happen today. And you see the leader himself here and insisting that this vetting should not happen. Mahama Yariga there, together with the minority leader, in there trying to have a conversation. And we are also trying to get a bite. There's a negotiation happening right in the middle of this vetting process as the leaders try to reach some agreement for the vetting process to continue. Alexander Fenyomakin telling majority leader that they agreed to vet 5. They have vetted 5 persons, and they expect that this process will come to an end and that they will not allow any more persons to be vetted. And there's a lot of confrontation. The majority leader now, as you can see him there in the middle of this situation, trying to very much get things under control, speaking to NPP MPs to try and calm tempers. Mama Aga says he wants things to happen. You can hear Frank cannot pray the minority chief.
It's not going to happen.
Not happen. It will not happen today, and that also
unnecessary.
Right.
Even the candidate nominees that we didn't agree, we have done it. Kofi Adams was not part of the arrangement. We compromised and did it. We agreed on 4. We have done 5. They should understand. What is this? Why? Look, some of them we spend less than 30 minutes on them. We can't do proper vetting with this short time. They should understand this. Otherwise, it will not happen. It will not happen.
Yeah. The leader and his chief whip are added them on this matter. They say it will not happen. He's trying to take the leader out to try and have some conversation outside. Frank cannot pray himself, saying this will not happen, and then ultimately a decision would have to be taken in terms of what exactly they would have to do next. As they do this, the time is going, it's 10:14 p.m. and the public is out there watching members of parliament in a scaffold, dragging tables, and there's chaos. As you can see, a microphone just raised from the floor. It hit the ground. It has totally been destroyed, and there's a lot more people saying that should not happen. The majority leader currently in dialogue in the middle of the room with the majority and minority leaders and all the other persons. They say this will not happen. This will not happen. Seeing your shot, the microphone that was damaged, it hit the ground, and this all this happening right in the middle of all this. Austin Game trying to calm things, and there's a violence, there's fight. This is literally 2 MPs at each other's net. Honorable Hassan Tampuli together with Roxy Nelson, the Femeko, pushing and pushing, holding each other's clothes as we speak, and their leaders are trying to separate them, and none of them will allow this to happen, and they've been separated as we speak. But this is chaos. This is a lot of very not so nice scenes as the marshals and other persons try to separate the conflict and the confrontation that is currently ongoing here at the appointment committee, where really not so much good scenes. The 9th parliament is starting on not so good scenes so far. A lot of policemen walking in. Our policemen are walking in. A lot of policemen from the parliamentary protection unit have now walked in, and they are trying to ensure that there is order and there is calm here ultimately for this process to happen. But this table has become the center of attraction, with MPs pulling and pushing with a lot of confrontation. Please pick it. Yeah. This is chaos. Well, as you can see, this MP says they will not allow these tables to be, the tables are literally being pushed, where the NDC MPs trying to rearrange the tables. The MPP MPs are not allowing this to happen, and these are really terrible scenes as we are seeing in Parliament, with honorable members right at each other's throats, fighting and pushing and pulling tables, saying that this vetting will not happen, that the pushing and pulling is ongoing.
Looking to level up your life and business game? Welcome to the #1 podcast for business and self-development, Connected Minds Podcast. Join our host, Derek Abite, as he dives deep into strategies, insights, and real-life stories that will help you make smarter choices for a happier, more successful life. Don't miss out. Stay connected with us. Tune in to the Connected Minds Podcast, where growth begins with a great conversation. Available now on all major platforms.
Show off your best skin with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. Now with 5-in-1 Complete Care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying with precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin. Step out in confidence with our most complete care from the world's #1 skincare brand.
With all the things that are happening here. Well, it's chaos. The table have been turned. It's chaos, it's chaos, it's chaos, it's chaos. The table have turned. More microphones are falling to the ground and things are being destroyed. The table has broken. The table has been broken with all that we are seeing here. It is obvious that this vetting may not happen. It is obvious that this vetting may not happen with all that is happening, with public property being destroyed and all that is being happening. There's a certain understanding that perhaps this will have to be resolved in another way, and it is clear that this vetting cannot happen with what we are seeing currently here in Parliament. It's chaos, it's chaos, it's chaos. This is chaos. This is chaos. I'm not sure that this is what a lot of members of Parliament envision or envisage, that coming here today, this is what is going to happen, with tables being broken, with a lot of issues still unresolved as members of Parliament try to resolve this situation. There's a lot of policemen now in the middle of this. The leadership are trying to talk about this and have some conclusion in terms of what exactly should happen. But the MPs are bent with their insistence that this is not a vetting that they are going to allow to happen. Tables getting broken, microphones are getting destroyed. This is chaos, and this is really much more unprecedented. This is not even like we saw during the election of the speaker, because it was a much bigger space and the conflict was resolved quite in a much more better way. But this is literally MPs at each other's throats. This is literally MPs fighting and saying that their respective positions that they've taken, that this vetting will not happen, And if they cannot agree, then they are going to use violence, they are going to use confrontation to try and resolve this. And ultimately, will they get their way or will they not? It's something that we are still out here trying to see what will happen with leadership on both sides, trying to engage in the middle of this. But one would say that Parliament itself would agree that this does not reflect well on the institution of Parliament. This is a matter that could have been, discussed as caucuses and some agreement reached. But if MPs had to go at each other's throats, tables are broken. Where I stand, I see a table that is completely broken. Two tables, the legs, all the tables are completely damaged, completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way this vetting can be used. You can see Collins out there in the middle of this, trying to resolve this and get all of this to conclude. Things have calmed up a bit, but we'll get to see what happens with this. While all this happening, Kwabena Kando is calmly sitting at his desk, awaiting for the oath to be administered to him. Samuel Okudjota ABLAKWA is also seated, and And this is really chaotic scenes over here. Let me get close a little bit to the action whilst Dafia Mekpo is speaking, trying to make a point as to what exactly is happening. No, I'm not tired at all. I'm not tired. Well, we see what happens from here, where a lot of public property now destroyed, tables, microphones, completely damaged, a lot of security personnel in here trying to resolve this situation. The conflict as we've seen, for those of you just joining our coverage from the appointment committee, this is a confrontation that has come about as a result of the NDC saying they intend to vet all other ministerial nominees, while the NPP have said they will not do that because they believe they've done this for a long time. This process should not continue, and that they should continue. Earlier on, there was a suggestion that given what was going on, this must be put to a vote because it's a majority system. And if you look at the appointment committee, it's an 11-member committee with 7 NDC MPs, and then there are 4 NPP MPs on it. So if you went to a vote, the NPP obviously would have been defeated on this matter, and that is why they were clear in their mind that they were not going to allow a vote on this matter. They were going to use there's no movement whatsoever. It's a total standoff. And Kwame Agoja there talking to the deputy whip, saying that they 7 have quorum on their own and they should be able to proceed and do some of these issues without ultimately leading to anything. And so it's valid confrontation. Many more NPP MPs have gotten out now. Mahama Yariga and the minority leader walked out to try and have a conversation. They are back with an agreement. We will get to know pretty shortly what exactly the agreement is, following that they have returned from that little break of theirs to go and talk and then decide on what they are going to do for the next. And so the leaders are back, and they say that they will vet the nominees, or they will find a way to try and have an understanding of how exactly this process will continue. For those of you just joining, Joy News live coverage of a lot of violent confrontation as we've seen here. Tables have been broken, completely microphones have been destroyed, members of parliament have been at each other's throats. It's been violent confrontation with the NPP and NDC MPs at each other's throats over whether or not the vetting must happen or not. The leaders have gone out to converse. They've gone out there to go and speak. You see Mahama Yariga there asking people to sit down. This is the table that is completely destroyed, that has now been raised. This table, you can see, it's a table that should have 4 legs, but it's a table with only 2 legs, because when the confrontation did happen, 2 legs got broken, microphones on it all got destroyed, and so that table is now being taken away from the vetting room, and the leaders are now back. We don't know where, around which table they will sit as they come again close to try and ensure that this process is then adhered. This is a lot. The MPs are back after some conversation. They are back in to try and have a conversation as to what to do.
That number, and that is why the minorities, I believe, that let's have enough time to grill these nominees, so we don't rush them through 10 minutes. They are going to handle serious ministries in the interest of the republic. So it cannot be a 5 minutes, 10 minutes thing. We've sat for almost 11 hours today. all agreed that we're going to even do 4. But then so far we've done almost 6. You understand? So if you're asking us to also do additional 3 or 4, that is why the minority is protesting. That's why the minority is protesting, because we also owe it as a duty to stand for and on behalf of the Ghanaians who are not in this room. So it cannot be a 5 minutes, 10 minutes when the person is going to handle the public purse, going to be in charge of policy making. It's a very serious exercise, very serious business.
You see that Samia Uku speaking to sides on what exactly they are expected to do on this matter. Pretty shortly, we expect that the chairman, together with the leadership on both sides, will have some sort of an agreement as to what should happen next. They are seated, Mahama Yariga, together with the minority leader and the chairman. They flanked him, and he is in the middle. A lot more MPs who were not even here have all returned, because they say that this process must continue or must not continue, depending on what process or depending on what side they are on. Violent confrontations. This is perhaps worse than we saw there. The microphones aren't working. Mahama Yariga is back and trying to make announcement, because the microphones, as you may know, are completely damaged. We will try and get to the other side and try and reach what the majority leader is saying on this matter.
Can you ensure silence at the back?
Mahama Yariga about to address in terms of what decisions the committee, together with all the other persons, have been able to take. And we'll get to hear from them pretty shortly and understand what is going on.
Oh, please. I am very, very, very sorry that these scenes that we are seeing are being projected to the rest of the country and to the world. The whole world knows that Ghana has one of the most beautiful and functioning democracies. The Ghana Parliament remains an envy of many parliaments. We've had an election that was so beautiful, the losing side conceded, and the whole world acclaimed us, and you could see that by the number of heads of states who came to witness the transition. So please, let us not destroy that image, that enviable image that we have carved for ourselves to the rest of the world as a beautiful, functioning democracy. I am pleading with all sides. As you can see, we would have continued, but logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. Logistically, the microphones have all been destroyed. And you know that with the microphones destroyed, it will be difficult for the media to carry the proceedings live on their various stations. They may carry the image, but they cannot carry the voice. And vetting is about assessing and evaluating the nominee. As it is now, we in this room may be able to assess and evaluate them by hearing them, but the rest of the country will not be able to do that. The technical staff have closed and they have gone home. And so there's no way, in fact, even if they were here, the destruction of some of the machines here cannot be easily replaced tonight. So for that reason, it is practically impossible to continue with the vetting. So I am pleading with all sides. I am pleading with all sides that we should bring proceedings to an end, and tomorrow, given that the facilities here have been destroyed, by morning we will designate a new location within the House to continue with the vetting of the nominees. But before I end, let me caution everybody that, you see, all of us have supporters out there. All of us need to satisfy our supporters. And so when we are vetting, let's make good use of the time allocated to us so that we can be efficient, we can vet as many people as possible, so that we can have the ministers at the various ministries functioning and delivering on the commitments that Ghanaians endorsed at the polls by the way they voted. So I am pleading with members of the committee, and I will have discussions with my colleague, the minority leader, so that we can come to some conclusion on the time allocation and how long we take to vet individual nominees. So please, I am pleading with you. I am pleading with you. I am pleading with you. Because what we have done today, we have seriously damaged our reputation as a parliament. We have seriously damaged our reputation as a parliament. It will take us a lot of effort to redeem ourselves. But I know that Ghanaians can forgive, and they will forgive us. But going forward, let us be decent when we are doing the vetting. It is not right to spend 3 hours, 4 hours questioning a nominee. It is not right. It provokes a lot of people. I'm not saying we shouldn't ask nominee questions, but let's be moderate in our approach. I can understand the passions and the anger in forming the decision to continue, even though today you have done so well. Indeed, today you had scheduled to vet 3 people. You agreed among yourselves and then made it 4. Then you agreed among yourselves and you extended it to 6. Unfortunately, the developments now makes it difficult to continue and implement the agreement. So I'm pleading with you, bear with us. We're ending proceedings and tomorrow we'll continue. Meanwhile,
what if they come tomorrow and they do the same thing? Will you stop? They insisted that there will be no proceeding. We can we decided to
oh, please, you know where the instructions are coming from. I beg you. Please sit down. Sit down. Please. So we are ending it. The leader of the house has spoken. So please, because the machines can no longer function, they've been destroyed. We'll look into that matter. And so we are adjourning to tomorrow at what time? 10 o'clock? We are adjourning to tomorrow at 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock. So we are adjourning to 9 o'clock tomorrow morning at the Speaker's Conference Room. And we are cautioning the nominees. We are cautioning the nominees. The Speaker's Conference Room is small. There isn't enough space in the Speaker's Conference Room. So please, nominees, don't bring people, because there's no space in the Speaker's Conference Room to accommodate the numbers that this conference room can accommodate. So thank you very much. Let's go.
That is the majority leader. Try and speak to the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, and try and get some indication from him if he's so minded to speak. Bernard Ahiafo. Honorable Chairman, what do you make of all the things that Bernard Ahiafo not willing to speak? Minority leader, I mean, this. You insisted that the veterans looks like your minority leader and other person, minority leader. Roxy Nelson, okay, Roxy Nelson also not ready and willing to speak. We'll try and speak to the minority leader and get some understanding of minority leader. What do you make of all that has happened?
Well, for me, we have our right to ask the relevant questions. You are aware that some of the nominees, we don't even ask them questions. Where we have to ask the relevant questions, we will ask. Nothing will stop us from asking the necessary questions. It's not every nominee. Some of their nominees spend 5 minutes. NDC is always up to intimidating people. They think that they must always bully. We will not accept any bully. They can call us micro-minority. They can say whatever they want to say. We've been cooperating with them. Today we agreed to do 3. The clerk to the committee is a partisan clerk. Indeed, she is a typical NDC. She agrees with them and then she advertises and informs people to come. All the practice has always been that Chairman Rankin would agree as to who and who will come. Yesterday, there was no agreement. The chairman was with me, no meeting. Then in the night, 10 p.m., the clerk advertised 10. This morning, my deputy was here. They had a pre-sitting. They agreed to 3. Later in the afternoon, they said 4. And then again, they said that, oh, let's compromise on 1 more. We said, okay. Then he made it 5. Just as we finished the 5th, we realized that they've paraded several other nominees dressed, and then they thought that we will boycott. We will not boycott. We will not boycott. We will not boycott. I'm saying that we will not boycott. Thank you very much.
That is the minority leader there. Minister, I mean, you've seen the things that have gone on here. This is not good scenes for the Parliament of Ghana.
Well, this is most unfortunate. What has happened is most unfortunate. There was an agreement, and the minority leader was following through with the agreement as the ranking member of this committee. I believe that vetting and interrogation is for the good of the country. If somebody is nominated to become a minister of state, he's occupying a high office, and therefore it requires proper interrogation and vetting. They should allow us to vet them, and the ranking member and the minority leader is doing just that. I think that they should allow us to go through the process and vet them so that the Ghanaian people can get the good caliber of people as Minister of State.
There are those who wanted to put this to a vote. They say that the NDC have 7 members on the committee, you have 4. And so if there's a disagreement on how many people to vote, you put out to a vote and then you decide.
But it's 11 p.m. now. What kind of effective work can you do at 11 p.m. when you started at 9 a.m.? Let's also be practical. The law was made for man, not man for the law.
Right, so the NPP MPs in here about to go out together in Honorable Asantampuli. Honorable Asantampuli, what do you make of what has happened here? The NDC MP say that you people have just decided not to allow them to vet their ministerial list and form their government.
Now that's very far from the truth. Now, let me tell you what happened. When these nominees were presented to Parliament, the regular thing that is done is that under the standing orders, the names are published for 2 weeks to receive memoranda from the general public. Then on the basis of some of the feedback that we receive from the public, we proceed to schedule the nominees for vetting. In this case, the 2 weeks were waived. So if we were unwilling to participate in this exercise, we wouldn't have allowed for the 2 weeks to be waived. You understand what I'm saying? On some occasions, some of the nominees have gone through after spending just about 5-10 minutes. All right, some have had just about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So sometimes, depending on your own responses, your responses will determine how long you stay here.
Right. Thank you very much, Minister. Let me try and see. Get one word from you, Honourable.
Yeah.
These are not good scenes for Parliament. How do you?
No, they are not good scenes. And as the leader said, as the leader of the House said, it is regrettable. But unfortunately, we have bent backwards several times. The number of people that were supposed to be vetted today, we've exceeded it. Even the 2 weeks advertising, we've waived it. Now it's like we just are going to be bullied. It won't happen.
It won't happen. They say that it won't happen. You see here in the corridor a lot of the NDC supporters who don't have a lot of printable words about the minority MPs. I'll come to you pretty shortly. But I mean, for those of you following what has been happening is supporters here. I mean, what do you make of all that has happened?
It's rather unfortunate. Actually, my name is Wisdom Majedako, Deputy Communication Officer for North Town Constituency. I'm here to support my MP, Honorable Samuel Kujetu ABLAKWA, for North Town Constituency. It's rather unfortunate on the part of the minority, I may say micro minority, for the attitude that they exhibited so far in this vetting process. We are all surprised and very shocked. Destruction of what? State properties is uncalled for. It's uncalled for.
Right, thank you.
It must be investigated. And some of the MPs might be subject for this unfortunate development. It's rather unfortunate.
Thank you. Thank you. You see that some of the supporters. Right, these party supporters obviously not happy about all that has been happening here. They say that some of them are really disappointed about the conduct of the NPP in this committee. And you look at what happened, and for those of you just joining and trying to follow us, there's a lot of chaos from confrontation about all that has been happening, even as more and more people. And so you see supporters, they are not happy. They are not happy at all about all that has been happening. And we will try and get to speak to more party supporters who are here, who are not happy at all, angry about what they've witnessed here. And a lot of them really are taking a very tough stance on the minority for what they believe is the confrontation and the violence that has ultimately plagued this process. Today, as we've been telling you, this vetting process was expected to vet nearly 8 people. That is what the committee put out, 8 people, 4 in the morning, 4 a bit later in the afternoon. They have been sticking through that up until the 4th nominee, and the 5th, that was Kofi Adams. And then they wanted to do 3 more. That will be 1 regional minister in the person of Gardner, and then there was Samuel Kujetu ABLAKWA, and then the people around this. You see, the people here, they are not happy. And so when the NDC decided that they were going to continue the vetting, they were going to vet 3 more nominees to add up to the 8 that they had decided to vet. The MPP MP said no to that. They were not going to allow Kwabena Minta Kando, Samuel Kujetu ABLAKWA to be vetted today because they believe they had done enough work for today, for which reason they were not going to allow that. The NDC MPs insisted that this vetting process must continue. This vetting process must be seen to the end, and all the persons that he had scheduled to vet today must all be vetted. This is something the NPP will not agree to, and that is what led to a confrontation with a lot of scuffle with speakers being broken. Look at all this. This is a microphone that is being used here. All of them completely destroyed because there was a lot of push from MPs all around this space who simply were not going to allow that.
Listen, it's very simple. If the minority thinks they are tied, they should walk out of parliamentary proceedings. It's simple as ABCD. And I've been saying, my bro, I'm pleading to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. This one is a big proverb. When he appoints the narcotic control board chairman, the minority will stop what they're doing. It's a proverb. When he appoints the narcotic control board chairman, the minority will stop what they're doing. Look at
all this. What about you? What do you make of all that has happened?
No, when they say they are tired, who are the people who? Let's ask us. Afenyo alone have been asking questions for almost 4 hours, and then they are here and say they are tired. Look at what they've done here. The things they've destroyed here. Who is going to take responsibility of that? Grown-up people like this, that your constituents have voted for you to come and lead them in parliament, and then you come here and then do this. It's not shameful. So, to all the constituents, those of you that you've seen your MPs involved in this act, you have something big to tell them, because at the end of the day, they are going to use your task. The small ones that you suffer and then go and work for, they take it from you and then come and do these things here. Look at that machine. Look at how they've destroyed it. At the end of the day, who is going to pay for it?
Right. Thank you very much.
Let's condemn it. It's not fine. It's not healthy for democracy.
Who come in here who are not excited about how that happened? What's your own beef? What about it?
My beef is that our leaders should be on their feet. Our leaders, the chairman of the committee should be on his feet, because Honorable Afenyo started misbehaving since day one. How can you vet one person for almost 6 good hours? For almost 6 good hours with all unnecessary questions. Before you come to the rare questions, the time was what? Due. The list is there. Those who are supposed to be vetted today, the list was there. And it has reached to Honorable Akando. They have targeted some people. That's Honorable ABLAKWA, Honorable Akando, and Honorable Sam George. So they want more time for, ABLAKWA. But the list there, those who are supposed to be vetted today, the list there. You should go along with the list. Our biggest problem is that 4 years is just at the corner. 2020 is just at the corner. Right. We voted for them. We were happy that we have the overwhelming majority, but this is our overwhelming majority.
Right. Thank you very much. And this has been the process here at the vetting committee room, where nominees have been vetted, and up to 5 persons have been vetted so far, and the expectation was that some 2 and 3 people will be vetted, but ultimately the violent scenes that we've seen here, public property completely destroyed, has meant that this vetting will not happen. And so you see that the clerk, they're putting on the lights here, because ultimately this broadcast must end. We will get out there and conclude this broadcast with some understanding of what exactly has happened. But a little bit of a recap before we end this broadcast. The NDC MPs were hell-bent on actually continuing the vetting and ending the vetting process with Samuel Okudzeto ABLAKWA as well as Kwabena Minta Akando. The NPP MP said no. They insisted that they had done a lot of work. They did not expect that this vetting process will continue, and that ultimately it should conclude. The NDC MPs would not listen to that. Ultimately, it led to some push and pull. Initially, it was just a little bit of a disagreement on both sides, but it got to a hilt, and public properties have been destroyed. Microphones, tables have been destroyed, because I saw a number of NPP MPs who are pushing and pulling the tables, insisting they are not going to allow the vetting to go on, and that led to some scuffle. I could see some NDC MPs. I don't want to mention it for now, but those of you who are watching the stream, you saw some of them pushing the tables and saying that a vetting must happen, and then you will see NPP MPs push the table aside. Because of that push and pull, ultimately the vetting could not happen. It led to major, huge disagreement among the members of parliament, and then ultimately the leaders had to come in and try and talk. The clerk to parliament himself, Mr. Ebenezer Humajetro, did come here. He tried to speak to members on both sides. This had escalated to a point that no side was willing to let down their entrenched position, and while no one was allowed was willing to let themselves down on the entrenched position, it meant that the conflict continued. Tables were being pushed, and then at some point 2 MPs got got into a brawl, holding each other by the shirts, pulling and pushing each other. And then the tables were destroyed. Some of the microphones fell to the ground. A lot of them also damaged, perhaps intentionally. And as you've heard Mahama Yorega speak, this vetting ultimately could not continue because the tables have been destroyed, the microphones have been destroyed. And so the decision has been made that tomorrow the vetting process will continue. It will continue this time around in the speaker's lobby, the speaker's office, a very much more secured space, but with a condition that the supporters of all these persons will not be allowed in. The nominees, the supporters, the family, the chiefs who come with them will not be allowed in, because truth is there is no space in there for them to do that. And so tomorrow that's going to happen. But it's been a shameful display, as you would see with MPs at each other's neck, pushing and shoving each other. Tables have been destroyed, microphones have been destroyed, simply because they will not let down their entrenched positions on this matter and allow the process to continue or otherwise. And once they could not come to a gentleman agreement, they decided that they will go the way of brawl, and they went the way of confrontation. Tables have now been destroyed and microphones have been destroyed. The decision now is to suspend now, go and reflect on this, perhaps sleep on this, and get to know what has happened here, just like the 8th Parliament when the Speaker was elected, right from the very scenes. One would have thought that given the numbers as it stands in the 9th Parliament, 187 as against 88 so far, the vetting and all this confrontation wouldn't have happened, but that has not been the case. And we've seen very violent confrontation at the start of the 9th Parliament. My name is Kweku Asante, reporting for Joy News, Parliament House, Accra.
This year's Valentine's Day falls on a Friday. That means double the fun. Musically yours on Love 99.5 FM presents Val's Night with the Stars, featuring Sarkodie, number 1 from Efia, When the Morning Sun Sweeps Up, Oforian Ponsa, and more. Join the Stars as they shine on Friday, 14 February 2025 at Rich Condos in Shiaso at 7 p.m. for Val's Night with the Stars. Call 0245 594425 or 0244 568252 and reserve a table. Purchase tickets for 300 cedis regular and 400 cedis VIP via short code *714 *25#. The Val's Night with the Stars is powered by Musically Yours on Love 99.5 FM. Val's Night with the Stars.
Impact Makers Awards is the most reliable and authentic award.
I've become a role model to a lot of young people in the Upper East.
This exposure also offered me another opportunity to win the 2024 edition of the Humanitarian Awards Global as an outstanding philanthropist.
What I was doing in the dark, it has come to light, and looking at the smiles on the kids, I am so excited.
I was enjoying this for a year plus. People got to know about what we were doing. Sponsors came in, resourceful people came in.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy, chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm in rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency.